Yes, you lot, what you're saying. So today's video is a little bit different to my usual, as I'm going to be taking you guys through the full creative process behind my t-shirt projects, showing the on-screen designing to then actually being on print and on a physical t-shirt. The reason for this is because Christmas is coming up and I thought it would be nice to design my dad a t-shirt with his favourite musician from the Rolling Stones in a sort of vintage screen print classic dad rock and roll tee. So then, enough waffling, let's jump straight into the process. Okay, so the main process we'll be using throughout this video is essentially the threshold effect. Now if you guys already know the process, you may as well just stick around anyway and appreciate the vibes. Okay, cool, so I've imported the image which I want as the main focus of my tee, and now selecting this layer and coming down to the layer adjustments, I'm going to go ahead and select threshold. Now we've got this posterize effect which we can toggle using the strength bar. Now in order to achieve a multiple colour tone, I'm going to bring down the strength to 1, keeping a solid colour block which we're going to use as a base layer. Once happy, select your threshold effect layer and the underneath which it's affecting and hit Command E. So this has now created a layer of both of these layers merged, which we're going to go ahead and click and then head up to our select tab which we want colour range. Then simply using this eyedropper tool, select the white in your image and then have a little play around with this fuzziness option too. I'm aiming to cover as much of the image as white as possible, and now that I'm happy I'll hit OK. Then with that layer selected, hit Command C to copy and then paste in place. Now we're going to go ahead and name this layer base so we know it's our bottom colour. Then hide the layer you just created so you're only left with your original threshold filter and the image below. And then now it's time to just repeat the process, however this time we want to have less white. So heading back to our threshold tolerance, we're going to move this bar so we've got a little bit of black showing, and then we're going to do this about 4 to 5 times, reducing the threshold each time.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. I've been on the flex since flex zone. Neighborhood all in your eardrums. I ain't never scared like Bone Crush.
Okay, cool, so we've got all the layers now, so we're going to go ahead and hide everything except the base layer we created. Now we can add some colour and start bringing the graphic to life. So this base layer, I want to have black for a sort of dark grungy undertone, and then we're going to introduce some colours on our second layer. So let's go with this sort of cool orange for now. Now I'm only selecting these colours to create a gradient I like. Then we can edit these later once I've got an idea of the sort of colour tones I want.
I got God, don't fear none. My line busy, take no calls. Feels like I don't have no flaws. Snakes in the grass, cut those off. Yo, squad shady, my bros raw. No breaks, we go, 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 go.
So I'm pretty happy with the way these colours are interacting with each other, and I like this sort of off-white highlight colour above, which I think looks pretty sick. Now I want quite a loud background which complements the focus of Keith Richards being in the front, so I generated this fire image on Midjourney, which I think is going to look pretty sweet once the threshold effect has been added. Now I'm going to repeat this threshold process we used earlier on our image of Keith.
Go, 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 don't shade, that's a no, 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 no. Go high, go low, low, low. Like spinning in a 644. Catch money like 504. Ball like AD.
So I really like this pink and purple colour tone, so we're going to go ahead and select the colours of the centre image to match this.
See the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up.
Okay, cool. I think the design's coming along pretty sick so far. Now, in order to keep the focus on Keith, I'm going to add this outer shadow of black. Now I'm going to also add a little bit of noise, as this helps with screen printing and DTG printing, which we're going to use to print this tee. Okay, so I think it's time to start fleshing out this graphic a bit, so I'm thinking maybe add some geometric shapes. Starting with this triangle, which we're just going to go ahead and place behind our layers. Now I already know that the type elements is going to consist primarily of bold lettering, sort of reminiscent of those classic dad rock and roll tees. So we're just going to go ahead and type the name Keith up here, and then using the font Belly display as well, as I think this looks quite cool. Then just placing it so it's perpendicular to the top of our triangle. Then I'm going to use this warp effect to create a more intense sort of effect. Okay, it's looking cool, but it's not done yet, so I want to add some texture to this. So hitting our layer styles, I'm going to apply an inner shadow with the noise up fairly high. Now what this will do is create a sort of speckled vintage screen print effect, which as I said earlier will also help for the screen print and DTG printing, but also it just looks cool. Then we're just going to change the colour slightly so it matches the other colour tones. Now I think I want to crop out this fire from outside the triangle so it looks like it's sort of bursting out of the triangle in which Keith is standing in. So using this pen tool, I'm going to make a selection and then fill it in black on a new layer, as I'm not quite sure whether we want to keep this or not yet.
Drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drip, yeah, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and a giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Ooh, I'm a real.
And then my second type element, I'm having Richards for Keith's surname. However, I don't want it to take away the focus from a main type above. So we're just going to have it slightly smaller and then also applied with this inner shadow effect. Now for the rest of this graphic, I'm just going to talk you guys through my idea for it, as it's mostly repetitive in terms of utilising the threshold effect. So this t-shirt is a Christmas present for my dad, who grew up in East Ham and his favourite musician is Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones. Therefore I wanted to incorporate landmarks and reoccurring scenery within his life into the graphic, such as having East Ham Station and other landmarks he would be familiar with. So once I was done with this threshold effect for both the images, I could then implement them into the triangles below. I also wanted to incorporate this other image of Keith Richards back when he was younger, so as before I went through the threshold process in order to keep it matching the other colours, which I could then paste into my graphic once done. Cool, so all there's now left to do is just add a few more little finishing touches and some other little design elements.
You see the drip, yeah, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and a giddy up.
And then I'm very happy with the graphic, so we're just going to go ahead and send it to print.
1 week later.
Okay, cool. So it has been about a week and we have the t-shirts in hand. So here is the final product. It did take about a day and a half to find the right manufacturers for the printing, just because a lot of print companies only print very small on the front of their t-shirts. I wanted to have that vintage rock and roll, like really big oversized graphic sort of aesthetic. So it took a while to find the right manufacturers, but did in the end. Honestly, you couldn't be happy with how these come out. They look so sick. So here is the short sleeve tee, and then we also went ahead and printed a long sleeve tee, which is this one here. I'll lay these out and make sure to get some nice V-roll for you guys so you can properly see them. But yeah, as I said before, I couldn't be happy with this product. I think they look so sick. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this whole full process of designing on screen to actually having the t-shirt physically in front of you. So let me know what you guys think, and if this video was any help to your creative processes. Thank you for sticking around if you've made it this far, and all the love recently on my channel. Until the next time guys, I'll see you in the next one in a bit. These are so sick, man.